Next we have, we're going to show some Flex stuff we just released, Flex 1.5. You can actually go to the website now and download it directly and play around with it. So we had Eli Greenfield come up and show some things, new things in Flex 1.5 and some things we've been playing around with. Eli?
Hello. So I'm going to cheat. Sneaks is traditionally about showing you stuff that's coming out in the future, but as Mike just pointed out, Flex 1.5 just came out, and probably very few people in this audience have actually gotten a chance to see Flex 1.5 before the conference here. So I'm going to show you a little bit more of the features, some of the new charting stuff that we included in Flex 1.5, which you saw in the keynote yesterday. And as Mike pointed out, Flex 1.5 is now available for download, so anything you see here, go ahead and download and try it out. So one of the goals of building the charting components in Flex 1.5 was to make them as easy to use as a button. When you're building charts for an interactive client-side application, a lot of times you don't know how much data is going to be shown in the charts at runtime, or how much space they're going to have to show it because of resizable windows. So we want to make the charts able to figure out the best way to display their data without you having to think about it. So what does that mean? That means that when you're building a pie chart, for example, you should be thinking about things like, do you want labels in your chart? Do you want them inside? Do you want them outside? Do you want some nice pretty call-out labels on your charts? You shouldn't be worrying about where those labels are appearing. They should be able to appear wherever they need to be. You shouldn't have to worry about how much data is in that chart. You should be able to throw a whole bunch of data in, just lays it out right. More importantly, you shouldn't worry about, say, how fast your application is going to run. We did a lot of work in Flex. We did a lot of work in Flex 1.5 to try and improve the performance of the applications out of the box. So another example of that, let's say you're building a column chart. So you build a column chart, you put some nice labels along the bottom axis there. You don't want to have to worry about where those go. You want the chart to decide if I have enough space to just lay them out end to end. If it runs out of space, maybe it starts staggering them to get them into place. If it still runs out of space, maybe it starts rotating them. Those vertical labels and numbers, you don't want to rotate those. In fact, you really just want to drop those, because numbers you can get away with having fewer labels. If you really run out of space, and make them smaller. So the other part about making your charts look good is the experienced design team who you saw yesterday in the keynote, they got in here and came up with a look and feel for the charts that really works with the Halo design out of the box. So you don't have to do a lot of work to get good-looking charts. On the other hand, we know that one of the reasons people come to the Flash platform, one of the reasons they choose Flex, is because they care about experience. They care about pixel-perfect design. So we did give you the opportunity to choose the styles, to give you a whole bunch of styles, properties, attributes that you can configure in your charts to get whatever type of chart you really, really want. Are there any designers in the audience? Can you raise your hands? Okay, can you guys all please avert your eyes? Developers, if you really, really want, you can build this kind of a chart. This is not what we recommend. So, one of the other reasons that people choose the Flash platform in Flex is for the interactivity you can get with it that you can't really get with HTML. One of the hallmarks of that in Flex 1.0 release was drag and drop. People really like the drag and drop ability that was built in. So, of course, that's something you can do with the charts as well. So here's a data grid showing a bunch of made-up numbers here. But let's say I want to start comparing these things visually. So let me throw a chart up here, and I'm just going to grab Florida here and just drop it into the chart there. I'm going to grab the whole range of stuff. available today as part of Flex 1.5, so go ahead and download it. So I'm actually going to take this opportunity to do a little hallowed Macromedia tradition. I'm going to do the 5-minute demo and show you how to build a great interactive chart, hopefully in less than 5 minutes. So I'm going to switch over to a tool here. I should point out I'm using a third-party tool here because it's great for presentation, but one of the benefits of Flex is you can use any text editing tool, your favorite development tool. We ship a great one called Flex Builder, which has text editing, code editing features, and interactive design features. So I encourage you to check that out too. But I'm going to go ahead and start with this blank application, and I'm going to throw a chart in here. That's what a column chart looks like out of the box. That's all you have to do just to get something up on screen. Let's switch over here and refresh that. Take just a second. Yay, compile! Oh, it's t-shirt. Everybody look away from the screen! Woo! Oh, look, a chart. Okay, so that's what a blank chart looks like. Obviously, we want to throw a little more up in there, so I'm going to switch back to my code, and the first thing I'm going to do is throw in my axis objects. So I'm going to say the horizontal axis is going to be based on some categories. I'm pulling some data from an external ActionScript file here. My vertical axis is going to be numeric. Then I need to tell what data I actually want to display. So I throw in a couple series objects. It's going to be 2 column series. Just like if you use the data grid in Flex or Flash, I tell it what field I'm going to pull information from, and I tell it where to get its data provider from. And let's go ahead and take a look at what shows up on the screen. All right, well, that was easy. We got a chart on screen, but now we want to, of course, style it a little bit, show you how to get the chart of your dreams. So I'm going to throw in a little bit more stuff here. First thing I'm going to do, of course, Flex supports CSS, so I'm going to use CSS to specify the font that I'm going to use in my chart. And I'm going to change the color of those column series. The first one, I'm going to make it a nice solid color, a nice blue. The second one, however, I'm going to go a little crazy, and I'm going to put in a gradient. Developers out there, if you don't know what a gradient is, find a designer and ask them. So the last thing, let me switch over and show what that looks like. Oh no, Flex gives great compile error. They have a really nice, well-designed compile error screen. Let me take a look at what I did here. Well, let me just pull the casserole out of the oven here. And in no time at all, but wait, there's more. Of course, this is all based on the Flash platform, so you get nice interactive drill down. Great animation showing you as your data changes. So that's all some demos of what's available in Flex 1.5 today. Now, this is sneak, so we'd be cheating you if we didn't show you a little bit about what we're thinking about for the future. So the charts in Flex 1.5, they're really built as a charting platform. We recognize that everybody wants, when everybody says they want a column chart, they actually want something a little bit different. So what we want to do is enable you to build the charts that you want on top of the platform that we built. So let me give you an example. Let's say your column chart looks mostly like what comes in Flex, but you want to change just a little bit of the rendering capability. So I'm going to show you a code file here. You see, this is all basically what comes as part of Flex, except I have this one custom object I wrote, this object called the threshold renderer. And that's the object that's responsible for drawing the columns. It doesn't worry about transforming data or any of that stuff. It's just about drawing. So what that's going to do is, I've got a nice chart here. It's going to show some real-time data, showing me how many people out of the audience are asleep right now. And it's important when you're giving a talk to actually know how many people are asleep. So you want to track this. Some people are always going to be asleep, but eventually it's going to reach some critical threshold when you know you're boring, your audience suggests, oh, okay, so we hit the threshold. So my renderer right there is looking for a critical number and doing some stoplight. Very popular thing to see in your charts. This is the kind of thing we want you to be able to do. The other thing we want you to be able to build on top of the charts is more advanced interaction. So what-if modeling is something that we typically see people doing, where you see your data, but you actually want to write back to your data. You want to grab that chart and say, what if the data is something totally different? So here's a chart that I built with some of the new APIs, where I can just grab onto this thing and say, you know what if everybody comes to Mac, falls in love with Flex, and they go and download it. The number of Flex downloads just skyrockets. So I'm going to pull this thing up, and oh, look, the number of projected Flex downloads later on is just going to be way off the chart. So we want it to be really easy for you guys to build this kind of stuff. If you want to take it just a little bit further, you want to not use the built-in types, but actually write your own series to show up in the charts. You can still leverage a lot of the work we've done. So in a couple hours, I took this basic standard bar chart, which is showing all the things that I have to do at Max 2004, and I turned this into a Gantt chart. So here, buy Rotten Tomatoes, go to Sneaks. Well, I got to buy the Rotten Tomatoes before I go to Sneaks. So let me create a dependency between those. And now we got a nice Gantt chart dependency. After I go to Sneaks, I have to clap and cheer. But you guys just did that, so that's not going to take that long. So I can make that a little bit shorter. It's a little too short. So this is, again, something that it took me a couple hours to build this interactive chart on top of the platforms in the system. So lastly, I'm going to talk about another new feature that we're looking at for Flex 2.0. And you guys remember way back when I showed you this chart. So this is real-time data being fed into this chart, right? Something you can't really do in HTML. I wrote this chart, and what I had to do was actually write all the code to send the data from the server down to the client so that this chart could update. And one of the things we tried to do in Flex 1.0 and 1.5 is really take a lot of the grunt work out of building interactive applications. So our data binding features, our validation features, our formatter features, those are all about getting the boring code that you got to do all the time, but you don't have to think a lot to do. Just making that all automatic. So we want to do the same thing for you in Flex 2.0 in terms of how you represent your data model that you already have on the server onto the client, so you can build your UI on top of it. So here's a really big and impressive looking couple of diagrams, which you don't really have to understand. What you do have to understand is on the left is the client, on the right is the server, and you don't have to worry about the rest of it. Over on the right-hand side, you can see you can connect to databases, you can connect to Java objects, CLR objects if you're a .NET fan, raw XML data. All you do is you write a quick descriptive file pointing your data at that, and it just appears in your Flex application. And any changes you make in the client are mirrored back to the server and vice versa. So building a chart like this one really just looks like, let me find my demo file here. Looks like this. It's just a simple chart with this mysterious tag here, which I promised the developer right in this feature I wouldn't actually put any real code in there right now. But it should be as simple as this, as writing one or two tags in your application. Your data just appears in your client. You connect to it, and without any work, the data just updates. So that's a quick demo of what's in Flex 1.5 and what we're hoping for the future. Again, I encourage you guys to download it right now.
So yeah, exactly. So wait. So it's pretty cool. So who's gonna go and download Flex 1.5 now and play around with it? Here, can you get one way back there? There we go. We have plenty of t-shirts. Thanks a lot, Eli. You want to see some Flash stuff? Some new Flash stuff? You want to see some more new player stuff? Maybe some authoring. Anything we can do that, Mike? Okay. So why don't we bring up Mike Downey, the Flash Technical Product Manager. He's going to talk about April and Millstone. All right. So how many of you were here yesterday morning?
So what do you think? Next person Flash player, nailed it. Very good. All right. Who wants some more? All right, well, I'll give you some more. So, a few of these things, I'm not going to describe too much of it because there's a lot of super secret stuff going on here. So I'm just going to show you some really cool looking things and let you try and figure out exactly what they mean. So the first one involves some really advanced gradient control that we're adding at runtime in the player. And I'm going to show you, we're going to also surface all of this in the authoring tool. So these three demos I'm going to show you were all actually done with ActionScript. You have full support over these, for these in ActionScript. So this one's using just a gradient and a bitmap. That's all that's in this. This is a gradient. It's all code and one bitmap. This one's really cool. This is a displacement map. As I move my mouse around, check that out. I can change the edges. So that's a different type of edge type. Change it again. It's another type. And here we go. Now it's bending it in. Alright, cool, huh? Now this last one is really cool. So yesterday I talked a lot about performance. Performance can be dramatically better in the next version of the Flash player. Well, this example is actually taking a bitmap, slicing the bitmap all up, and then randomly moving the pieces of it all around the screen. How's that for performance, huh? Alright. Okay, so that's some other stuff we're doing in the player. Who wants to see the authoring tool? So this is a very early running, this is an actual running build of the next version of Flash, codename 8-ball. And we've got a few things running already. These may or may not make it into the final product, but we're playing around with this stuff. So I'm going to start with a great animation by Chris Georginas. We all know him. Great stuff. So he gave me this animation, and what I'd like to do is add a shadow to this animation. So this is what the animation looks right now. This is what it looks like. So we're going to add a shadow to this. So I'm going to select it to movie clip. I'm going to go to my Properties Inspector and search my Filters tab. I'm going to add a filter. I'm going to add drop shadow here. That's all I'm going to do. Now let's see how it looks. Okay? Now I'm going to do something I think even a little bit more cool. So that was great. Check this out. So I'm going to take a background image and place it out on the stage. So I have this just a static bitmap here. Put the dog out in the sunset. They can kind of stand on the water there. And with that, my dog animation selected. I'm going to go down to my Properties Inspector and under the Blend Modes category, use invert. Now check it out. I love this job. Okay, so a few other things. Strokes. So I'm grabbing my pen tool here and let me just draw a stroke real quick. So all of you that are illustrators and designers, you work with strokes a lot. And as you know in Flash, this is what a stroke has always looked like. See how it's kind of rounded on all the different points, the joins, and on the caps? Well, let me select this whole stroke here, and down the Properties Inspector, I'm going to change the joins. So we'll go for nice wide joins there. Nice butt end cap there on the stroke. How about this? One thing you've never been able to do with strokes before also is apply a gradient to a stroke. So the next one. So one thing for people who are new to Flash, this is something that they discover pretty quickly that takes them a while to get used to because a lot of them have worked in other design tools that don't work this way. However, when you get used to it, you tend to really love it because it's so unique. And that is the way that Flash draws shapes. So I'm going to take my rectangle tool here and show you an example of this. So as I draw these rectangles, look at that rectangle with that nice sharp edge on it. What do you think about that? Huh? So as I draw a few shapes out here, notice that every time you draw a shape and you select it and delete it, it takes a bite out of what's underneath it, right? So it's always going to do that, and we're going to make that the default operation. But what if you didn't always want that to happen? What if instead you want to take a shape and click down here on the object editing mode, object-based drawing, I think is what we call it actually, and as I draw now, just like Freehand or Illustrator or any other tool out there, everything is drawn as a discrete shape. And now when I select something and delete it, it doesn't take a bite out of anything else anymore. And I can still do the stuff that we really love about Flash, like pushing and pulling on lines. I can do all of that. So it's fully editable. I can take any one of these and I can still change properties like the color and things like that. So I still have full access to these things, even though they're now maintained as an object. Okay. So one last thing, actually two things. One is I want to be able to go into the preferences. I just want to show you that you will be able to make object drawing model default if you want to, so you can turn it on or off. And don't look at this area right here about having an option between old undo and new undo. Don't look at that part. I'm just to show you that part. Okay. So I have that preference in there. And last thing is gradient. So I showed you that quick demo earlier, the light source, the gradient. So let me show you an example of how we're going to make that available in the authoring tool. So I have a basic shape here. I'm going to apply a gradient fill to that. Okay. And notice now when I select on the gradient, I have the fill transform tool selected. And we've always been able to do this. We've always been able to change the center point, right? But what we have not been able to do is actually change the direction of the radial gradient. So we can do cool stuff like this. Let's see if this works. This is early code. Let's try this again. There we go. Let's rotate a little bit. Alright, now selecting a frame here and do shape tweening. Let's see if this works. There we go. Cool. You can cool stuff like this, right? Okay. Thanks, everybody.
So you excited about the next version of Flash? Yeah. Of course, this is all sneak peek. These are, maybe these will make it into the final version. So should we include these features in there? Maybe I can pull two screens, get it in there. So we're coming down the home stretch. I got two more things to show, really cool stuff. We're going to just show the Flash player and Flash authoring, so now we're going to talk a little about Flash on the desktop. So we have Danny Gura. He's a Flash engineer on the Flex team, on the Central team. He's going to show some things they've been playing around, some ideas they've been playing around with Central, and just Flash on the desktop. So Danny.
That's pretty awesome. Seeing all that Flash stuff, a lot of fun to play with too.
released Central 1.5 pretty recently, and another thing that was released actually just yesterday, I believe, was Flex 1.5. And this is actually kind of looking back a little bit, but something that you can do now. So let me show you this. We have a little Flex app here. This is something that we wrote. I wrote like a month ago. And it's an awesome app that runs in the browser. You know, Flex app. So it accesses the Amazon Web Service. You can click around in here. It hooks into the Google Web Service also. So it'll give you Google results on the title of that book. You can drag things around. It does all the really cool things that Flex app does. And we thought, well, wouldn't it be cool if we could do this with Central? And so we can show you this right here. Let me open up my Central. So here I have Central. This is Central 1.5 running. And we're going to switch to this app right here. So here it is, same code base, and it's a Flex app running in Central. So this is really awesome. It works just like it does in the browser, except we're able to add some cool things. You can access all the APIs that Central makes available to you. So file upload and download and things of that nature. Here we're taking advantage of alerts. So I can see, let's see, every 24 hours, check to see if this book changes price or if the availability changes or something like that. And so we can take advantage of all the really cool features that Central has. And so this is actually, you can do this today. The Central SDK for Flex is available on the website. So go check it out. Go develop your own Flex applications for Central. So that's really cool. So we've kind of looked at this awesome technology, Flex and Central, and integrated together. And now we're kind of looking forward a little bit. And we've been having some time. So here, I have a simple Swift. We're going to run it in Flash in our version of Central here that we have. And through ActionScript, we have this little combo box. We're able to actually modify a window. So you can change the alpha transparency of it in ActionScript. So you can see this window's over this other window here. And maybe you want to knock out a certain color. So there goes that color. It's gone. And it shows the layered windows. So you want that? You like that? Okay, let's go a little farther and see what else we can come up with. So here's another Swift. Maybe you want different sized windows. Maybe you want to change the shape or do something like that. We're going to